1871. And then again, you have the mighty Queen Cassiope. Queen Cassiope. Her time is given here as 1890. Queen Cassiope. 1870. Ethiopian kings list. And her time frame again, 1890. Again, when you observe the Greeks' Ethiopian story, where they also, in a similar way, align the known Ethiopian king list to a mystic mythology that those of you who study, not just listen to a conversation and you know, just regurgitate what you may have heard, no offense, but those of you who study mythology, you would understand that is why Cassiopeia's husband could be Cephas, but yet still several centuries apart. I can show you similar things in the Bible too. In fact, we would have. Even with David and Saul, there's a whole mystery around David and Saul. It's as if David met Saul twice or at least 3 times. Man, it's deep because of the mythological aspect of it. And a person may be quick to say, oh, you're trying to say David and Saul is mythology? Cassiopeia is the wife of Cephas, right here in the Ethiopian list coming from Greek mythology. But this list was taken from a literal, real list of the kings and queens of Ethiopia. And in that real list of the kings and queens of Ethiopia, you do have Queen Cassiope. She's not the wife of Cephas in the real world, but you do have a Queen Cassiope, a mighty great warriors. Now, Cephas, according to the Greek mythology, because this is important, Cephas, the husband of Cassiopeia, they both have a daughter, Andromeda. Andromeda was held captive by Cetus, the beast, and then eventually Perseus had to come and save her. Believe it or not, this is all the Greeks putting Ethiopian history in a mythological expression. Because let me show you, Cephas now, 1453 to 1438. When we return to the Ethiopian kings list, you have a king in 1438, Seba III, his name is Kefe. Kefe, not Cephas, Kefe, but obviously it's the same person. Kefe is the Greeks' Cephas. It's just like Yehoshua is the Greeks' Jesus. That's what it is. They do it all the time. This is a pattern with the Greeks, and you can see clearly here if you take the time to study your own Ethiopian history. So again, it's a pattern, but yet still it's almost like a formula. In a sense, there's nothing wrong with it because mythology or the mythos is a science. It's not just, oh, they stole the story and whitewash it. There's a bit of that too, but it's an art form. Mythology is an ancient African art form. That's why we said all stories belong to Anansi. We've spoken about that several times, the importance of the character known as Anansi in the mythos. As Anansi is a Christ figure that represents the Christ within all of us. The same set against Heru, but yet still the same. The same set that defends the same Ra against Apep. This is some deep stuff. So you're seeing the same thing here. Because on the ground we have Queen Cassiope, a real woman from 1890. She's not a constellation in the heavens. She's a woman that ruled Ethiopia. Then you have another great king, Saber III. He's from 1438, and he is known as Kefe. And in the Greeks mythology of Ethiopia, a land that they have, as it says here, sub-Saharan Africa, but yet still a land that they have as all of Africa as well, during a specific time of their history. And then a land that they had as Arabia and basically Egypt. This Ethiopia, Ethiopia. So again, in this Ethiopia, Kephas, which is the same 453 to 438, Kephas is the husband of Cassiopeia, centuries apart. In the Ethiopian real history, Cassiope is not obviously the husband of Sebe III, Kefe. Kefe is 438, just like Kephas. And Cassiope is 1890, just like Cassiopeia in the Greeks' rendition. It's just like King Khufu. The Greeks call Khufu Cheops. They do that. This is what the Greeks do. They just take your history and just dolly it up for you. Khafre is now called Khafre. What's Khafre's name? Chefens. I think it's Chefens. And Menkara is something else. That's what they do. So the Greeks are known for taking the African names and plus the African history and putting their own twist of mythology on it. That's why you always hear about the Greeks coming and sitting with the blameless Ethiopians and Ethiopia, the gods, with the land where all the gods love to be, according to Herodotus and these fellas here. And then, of course, remember you have, even in Ethiopia, Ethiopios, which now which is, although the Greeks may have taken our name and Greekified it, then that doesn't mean the origin of the name came from them. So to say that the Greeks named Ethiopia point blank and that's it, it's unfair. Because Cassiopeia is not her name, it's Cassiope. But it's obvious that they took the name Cassiope and morphed it into Cassiopeia and gave it a different identity, yet still highlighting the prowess of Cassiope. But Cassiopeia now has gone into a mythological realm, flying through the sky and on flying horses and these different things. You're going into mythology there. So at the same time now, when you observe, for example, when you read the history again of Ethiopia, it's a bit different than the history of Ethiopia itself. For example, it says here, Bible and Greek mythology, the Ethiopians claim to have colonized Egypt with the help of the god Osiris. You hear that one? The Ethiopians claim to have colonized Egypt with the help of the god Osiris, Asar. And the Ethiopians and the Egyptians colonized the Sewa oasis together. The Ethiopians came to adopt Egyptian culture and religion, especially as Egyptian dynasties occasionally conquered Egypt. And so it clearly shows Ethiopia was ruled by King Kephas, father of Andromeda, which again is the daughter of Cassiopeia. And then also, you know, of King Memnon. All of these, Memnon, although this is saying that he's a vassal of the Pharaoh Ramesses II, many believe that Memnon is the same, Ramesses the pardon me. Many believe Memnon is the same Ramesses. Ursema Atra, Setepen Ra, Ramesu, Mari, Amun. Again, but you can't doubt that because it's the Greeks now who created the Memnon and created the Kephas, but yet from real characters, you know, Kefe. And Kefe was a great king, just like how they want to make Kephas look. You see, the work that Kefe would have done you could use a term like it would have married the work that Cassiope would have done. So in the mythology aspect of it now, it looks like Kefe and Cassiope, or Kephas and Cassiopa, or Cassiopeia are husband and wives. You know, that's how it's expressed in the mythology that the Greeks robbed from ancient Africa. You understand? So you go to school and you study Shakespeare and you study theater and you study Greek mythology, and this is what you get. But you study not the ancient right history of Ethiopia to understand where it all fits in. So this is how you decode it. So Cafe is Kephas, and Cassiope, a real queen, is Cassiopeia in the mythology. And I will repeat, just like Khufu is Cheops, and Khafre is Shefen, you know. And I also saw, or Yeshua, I should say, is Jesus. And that is why you have a good argument when one will say, oh, they just make up Jesus. Again, mythology that has been formed from something literal, actual history, same old story. That's what the Greeks are known for doing. And that's why we can bring credible evidence and put it right in front of you. You know, so this is why, you know, you'd hear the brothers saying about the different, I think the word is Tariq, history. You hear Brother Ras Adonis say it. You hear Brother Isern speak about it. The two different types of history. You know, and if you don't check yourself, you'll be reading the Ethiopian history as the history, or the Greek, the King's List from the Ethiopian story, and telling people about Andromeda and Perseus coming to save her from the dragon as Ethiopian history. Some say it's Ethiopian mythology, but really it's Greek mythology trying to describe an Ethiopian dynamic. Now, so with all of that in mind, and even all of that said, let us look at the whole aspect of, because when it comes to the Kephas now, remember Kephas is very important. We're talking about our brother here, our good brother Dr. Charles Finch. Dr. Charles Finch, we would have done programs highlighting his works, and I think he really, more than anyone, is the outstanding individual that highlights the coming of the cosmic Ethiopian king. You remember those programs, and family? Yeah, man, you have to remember those programs. The highlighting of the constellation Kephas, because now the whole thing that we just described a while ago is seen in the heavens. The whole play. You have Kephas, you have Andromeda, you have Cassiopeia, and you also have Perseus. All of these characters are in the heavens. Basically, if you want to say, fulfilling this prophecy and history here, or the mythology. But now the reality again is that the heavens declare. The Greeks didn't put nothing in the heavens. The Greeks didn't put no stars up there. It is the ancient Ethiopians, the ancient ones Kemeteyu, which would have described to them what is taking place in the heavens. Very good. All right. Let me just highlight for you exactly where these constellations are. So this is the star Polaris. Of course, you know, in the heavens, the star Polaris represents the northern celestial pole. And Kephas is one of those circumpolar stars. And then, of course, Cassiopeia represents his wife, and Cassiopeia is seen as a W. And then you have Andromeda. One of the outstanding things about Andromeda is that Andromeda itself, as a constellation, also has within her the very bright, outstanding galaxy, M31, which is the Andromeda galaxy. So you have Cassiopeia in the form of a W right next to Kephas, This is in the heavens. And the vibration with Cephas is that in a few hundred years, Cephas will become the constellation closest to the northern celestial pole. Now, this is very, very important, because Cephas now, the star Irae, I would have pronounced it as, is going to be the closest star to the northern celestial pole in a couple hundred years, if you do your mathematics. Now, according to Dr. Charles Finch, he is saying that is ushering in the age of the celestial Ethiopian king. Now, I am saying, because according to the good brother Dr. Finch, there are 3 things that would have taken place in relatively recent time that would highlight the coming in of the celestial Ethiopian king. Now, one of these things would have been the coronation of Emperor Haile Selassie I. The other event would have been the Million Man March, and then the other event would have been the presidency of Barack Obama. And according to our esteemed elder, Dr. Charles Finch, these 3 events are symbolic of Cephas going into the North Pole to become that celestial Ethiopian king. And according to him, Cephas will be making that move maybe in the next 50 or 60 years, something like that. No offense to the good Dr. Charles Finch. I love him with all my heart. But sometimes when we speak 50 and 60 years when it comes to astronomy, I wonder if we understand the subject properly. Cephas has already started to go into that zone. And Haile Selassie's coronation, I wouldn't even stay too long on that, represents Cephas going into the celestial northern pole area. Not Barack Obama's presidency, and with all due respect to Minister Louis Farrakhan, not even a Million Man March. We're talking about the coronation of Negus and Nagas. I'm talking about in 1930, just as Dr. Charles Finch rightly says, represents the new age of the celestial Ethiopian king, as Cephas, will be taking over the North Star position. Now, that in itself going to take a long time. That in itself might take a whole 1,000 years before you can see Cephas star specifically in the center or very close to the center of the celestial pole itself. So we're looking at the next 1,000 or 1,500 years before Polaris is totally outside of the northern celestial pole, and Cephas is closer, right under it. Next 1,500, 1,300 years, the most. But we are already in that zone, because astronomically, any movement like that, the energy would have begun already. That's why I'm saying even in that time, that's the time. You can't compare this to the Aquarius age neither. And the Aquarius age is going to start next week. That's impossible. It doesn't go like that at all. And it wasn't the Aquarius age when you were small, but now you're bigger. It's the Aquarius age. Nothing goes up. Impossible. That's not how the heavens move, family. This is a very, very slow, precise movement. Hardly anything is done in anybody's lifetime when it comes to the movements of the heavens. No drastic change, like a change of an age literally happened in your lifetime and your generation. No way. When the sun moves 1 degree every 72 years, that's what I'm talking about. So Cephas, the Ethiopian king, which is really Kafe, which was a great king, is immortalized in the heavens. And Kafe will one day be, Sabbath the 30, will one day be touching the celestial northern pole as the literal celestial constellation of the northern power, and as well its star. And this is the house of Anpu. Yes, the northern house of Anubis, the celestial North Pole. So this is some deep vibration, family. And this is why we always say, if you know your Bible and you do not know your history. is all understanding. Because again, you can confuse the Greek mythology and Homer and the Iliad and Troy and the Trojan War. A lot of things that are just myths and make up story, which are mixed up with Ethiopia itself. Now you see it here, the name Ethiopia derived from King Ethiops the First. You understand? But yet still Ethiops the First is seen in the credible kings list. You have Ethiops the Second there and the first somewhere around here. But the point is that the name Ethiops is seen as a credible name within the king's list itself. So just to say that the Greeks made up the name Ethiopia, we have to be careful how we say that, because they took it, obviously, from an ancient Ethiopian king. Maybe the kingdom wasn't called Ethiopia at the time, but it is his name that was used to morph into that name. You know, Cassiope, again, is Cassiopeia. And Kefe is Kephas. But yet still Kefe is not the husband of Cassiopeia or Cassiope, as they are hundreds of years apart. But the mythology has brought them together. The mythology has given them a daughter as well, where the daughter could also represent Ethiopia. That's why in the Bible, the woman that was to bring forth a man-child, the woman herself is Ethiopia, bringing forth a ruler. So even Andromeda, which of course is the mother of that great galaxy, it represents a whole world. And of course, Khafre's rule was very symbolic and very pivotal. And Cassiopei's rule was very symbolic, pivotal, 400 years apart from each other, but yet still they made a certain bridge that brought Ethiopia to a certain level of civilization and prominence during their time. You know, so the Greeks understood that to that degree, and still they learned that from us, obviously, and would have immortalized that in that mythology where you see these two great rulers being married and producing a daughter that was under siege, that was saved by another king. This is deep. So this is why I encourage my listeners, those who are serious about knowledge, don't get caught up in the emotional expression, especially when it comes to social media and YouTube platform and jumping in the chat. Remember, this is a college here. This is the no guessing zone, you know. When you hear me coming, this is the no guessing zone. I don't come and talk about things I guessing and I'm not too sure. I may have a point here or there that I may need someone to assist me in clarifying the point. But the subject in general, no man, we come with what we know, what we're talking about. And again, this sort of conversation here, the arena that we are in now. Remember, the scripture speaks about it's good when you have knowledge, but it's better to have understanding. So a lot of ones can have knowledge, you know, even in all what we're talking about here. But do we comprehend how to fit it together so we don't fall off track? Hey, family, give thanks for your presence with us, life giver and the keeper of life. This is why we always say, if you know your Bible and you do not know your history, astronomy as well, and mythology, the knowledge of your Bible will become a mystery. And of course, you know, it takes some real eyes to realize the real lies that are amongst us. Give thanks for your presence, family. Remember to visit the website, you know, priestisaacinstitute.com and get a copy of the book, The True Biblical Land of Israel. Give thanks. Blessed love. Prosperity is a herbal remedy that has been naturally designed to nourish the prostate gland. Prosperity uses a combination of leaves, roots, and barks to create a tincture designed to nourish your prostate gland. It also will assist in prostate-related issues such as erectile dysfunction, swollen prostates, and problems related to the passage of urine. Call or WhatsApp 728-8289, 728-8289 and get your bottle today. Prosperity.
and gave birth to special education. That movement came to America and gave birth to ADHD. That movement came to America and gave birth to mandatory sterilization or forced hysterectomy. That movement went underground, and now the movement is back, but it's wearing new clothes. The new eugenics movement is wearing the outfit of transgenderism. The new eugenics movement is wearing the outfit of childhood homosexuality and childhood lesbianism. But the goal is the same: of African life through the propagation of transgender lifestyle in their children. Barbados, guess what? As a researcher, you need to know something. When the Inter-American Development Bank gave your child that survey, and survey is a form of research. According to international law, you cannot conduct research on children without permission of their parents. So you have an international lawsuit, brothers and sisters. Barbados, you have an international lawsuit against the Inter-American Development Bank, who gave your children that sexuality survey without their permission. Black power. Let me hear you say black power. Let me hear you say black power. Let me hear you say black power. Brothers and sisters, we are against nobody, but we are 100% dedicated to the salvation and liberation of African people. As a Pan-Africanist, I believe we are one. Whether you are in Barbados or Nigeria, whether you are in Harlem, New York, or Zimbabwe.
And of course, whether you are in ancient or modern Anu, we definitely say blessed love to each and every one. Joy and happiness definitely coming out of the house of Emmanuel. Give thanks, a better Emmanuel. Of course, we glorify the power and might of the Holy Trinity, Negus and Agas. Of course, you know, this is the Tiger's Nest. You're in the Tiger Zone. Radio Anu, the international flavor, the universal spice. Your humble servant with you, the Honorable Priest Isaac, again, glorifying Emperor Haile Selassie in all doings and sayings. Wonderful moment that we have in store for you this evening as we are basking just a moment ago in the voice of one Umar Johnson, who was in the region just a few days ago. He was actually in Barbados and was somewhat spitting some fire there as it relates to certain plans, political plans that may be afoot for Barbados there. And I must say, you know, this is not with any level of disrespect at all, but Barbados, more than any other Caribbean island, has been known for its, well, at the time it wasn't being called queer or homosexuality. We were just calling them anti-men. Yeah, and Barbados was full of them kind of things there. Barbados is known for that. So Brother Umar Johnson did a lecture there. I think it was on the 8th. And what you were hearing there was just an introduction. He was introducing himself to some degree to the people in Barbados. And of course, I think that he was spot on, as he usually is. But the conversation that he was having is more than just, you know, Umar Johnson. It's more than just sounding good. It's more than just Pan-Africanism. It is the seriousness of our state of affairs as it relates to us as a people, and as the good brother was highlighting, especially as it relates to our youths and the choice that they have of sexuality. Can you imagine that? The choice that they have of sexuality today that has been given to them. This must be a human rights. What do you think? Yeah. So this is what the brother was addressing here, and what we're going to do this evening. We're going to take the time to go into the presentation that Brother Umar Johnson made. So not just the little snippet you got a moment ago. You're going to get it in full, well, at least as much as time would permit us right here on the Tiger's Nest. Very thankful for your presence with us, mighty family. Give thanks for all those who are tuning wherever you are internationally, whether you're in Holland, whether you're in the Netherlands, whether you're in Germany, whether you're in Kenya, Uganda, anywhere you may be. And let me just say to each and everyone who are currently on our ancient astronomy course, those who would have completed the course, those who are at this moment going through their studies, I am very thankful for, I'm showing appreciation really for your consideration of taking on to yourself that course, that challenge to some degree. And I'm sure that you are definitely very thankful that you made that decision, and you are definitely better as it relates to your knowledge and understanding as we're talking about the cosmos, we're talking about the heavens, we're talking about the constellations, we're talking about the stars. So yes, family, for those who do not know what I'm speaking of, that's our ancient astronomy course. Somehow I doubt there's anyone listening that don't know what we're talking about, but I'm talking about our ancient astronomy course. Of course, it is definitely available right here on the website. And then you have our ancient archaeoastronomy course, which will be starting on the 6th of November. And for that course, obviously, you'd have to come and pay us a visit right here in ancient and modern Anu. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Well, family, as I said, in a few moments, we will be going into the presentation. I want to make sure I give you enough time so we could take in what the good brother is explaining to the crowd that he has here. And of course, we want to comment on the exclamations as such that he will be presenting. And I would say, yeah, them is some exclamations, because he would be very so-called frank and straightforward. Honestly, one of his better presentations, to be frank with you, as they say. Beautiful, but we're not frank. We're Africans. When somebody is frank, that means they are a Frenchman. All right, family. So give thanks for your presence. Give thanks for the joy. Of course, I'm going to ask you to share the link. Let someone know what you are watching, what you are listening to, what you are taking in. Of course, this is the Tiger's Nest, exclusively Radio Anu, the international flavor.